Good morning from New York's Times Square. I thought this morning I'd talk a bit about subledgers. Haven't talked about those as I've talked about data supply chains. I noted in my video about data supply chains that every time we make a balance, we begin a data supply chain that has to be consistently fed the transactions or business events in order to make it accurate, maintain the balances in a running way over time. So a data supply chain is defined by where you make a balance. Well, the first balance that gets made in most financial services firms is in the subledger. The product source system might be another term for it. These subledgers tend to be very detailed because they're the things that maintain the customer balances, the customer view of the world. So my balance for my checking account, my loan balances, my trading balances, all of those are captured in the originating source system in the subledger. The subledger, though, it doesn't maintain, it's not the same as an instrument ledger because a subledger does not maintain a debit-credit view of the world. It doesn't take a transaction business event and turn it into an in and an out in the flow manner that you have in accounting. It simply maintains a single business event, single transaction as opposed to most often a single balance, maybe a few different balances, but not consistently a debit-credit view of the world. So that makes a problem when these transactions, the subledgers can't be used for our accounting reporting, for our internal enterprise reporting, because they reflect the customer view of the world. The balances as we present them as a financial services firm to the customer, those are the balances that are maintained there. And they're not our enterprise view, our view of our business or our representation of our business to the financial markets and to regulators and those kinds of things. This difference, so these transactions having to be taken from the source systems again and turned into debits and credits to be fed to the financial system, means that we're doing posting in two different places. And the posting process, we then need to reconcile, and this is a lot of time and a lot of money is spent reconciling the source system balances, these subledger balances, to the financial, to the risk, to the other management reporting, to the other kinds of balances that are made within the bank or the financial services firm. So that process takes a lot of time and a lot of cost. Would it be possible to do something different? Well, I think on an instrument ledger would allow us to maintain balances in a different way. They become, with the concept of step-ups, these balances are maintained in an instrument ledger, and so each individual need, each individual use or view of it can be pulled from the instrument ledger, and they can be added together to create compoundingly more complex and more interesting and more demanded required views. So you could begin an instrument ledger with the customer view of things. That could be the base process. But then on top of that, and then if that's what the vendor provides, is the vendor gives you some level of transactions and some level of balances, then maybe that's adequate to begin with. But the vendor doesn't get to decide what generally accepted accounting principles are. And programmers in vendor packages typically don't really care what those are. And those things tend to change more rapidly. What is generally accepted accounting? The requirements of the regulations tend to change more rapidly than our customer demands or our requirements for those source systems. So if on top of that we use the step-up concept and create additional views within the instrument ledger as additional balances that get added to the base level view of things, then we've started to eliminate reconciliation because they're stored in the same place. And from this process, this instrument ledger, we can pull out many different views which are interesting to us for many different purposes. The subledgers are a major impediment to getting to a consolidated data supply chain. They have high volumes today, but were written in ways that do process them fairly quickly, but not anywhere the speed is possible today with more modern technology. If we were to convert the subledgers as the first step to an instrument ledger and add on top of it the other views that are required, we would start to significantly change our data supply chains for financial services.